Welcome back to the channel, dear friends. It's always an honor to have you here. Today's topic is one that may startle you, especially if you've been practicing reciting the Buddha's name for a while. Many spiritual seekers assume that the mere repetition of sacred syllables guarantees progress or salvation. But what if I told you there's a hidden obstacle, a deeply embedded habit that could nullify years of your sincere practice? Let's pull back the curtain on a spiritual taboo so common it's often invisible, a trap that millions fall into. A danger not in how much you recite the Buddha's name, but in what your heart holds while reciting. In Buddhist teachings, we are reminded again and again the root of rebirth is attachment. And among the attachments, emotional clinging, especially to people, memories, and unresolved desires, is among the strongest. We call this emotional bondage affectional attachment, or more precisely, emotional fixation. Even the most devoted practitioners can be sabotaged by it. Imagine reciting the Buddha's name thousands of times a day, holding prayer beads with disciplined fingers, joining every Dharma gathering, but in your heart, a single emotional thread pulls you back to this world, a lost love, a child you can't let go of, a past betrayal you keep reliving. In the moment of death, that single thread can override all your years of chanting. Why? Because at the brink of passing, your mind returns to its deepest attachment. If your final thought isn't of the Buddha, but of your unresolved emotion, you may be reborn again into the very cycle you sought to escape. Let me share a heartbreaking story. A devoted lay practitioner, known for his daily discipline, his soft speech, his calm presence, was celebrated as a model follower. He fell ill late in life, and a group of monks gathered for continuous chanting as he approached his last breath. But during those final days, his lips whispered not the Buddha's name but the name of a woman from his youth, someone he had once loved deeply and never truly let go. That name became his final prayer, his final word. His spiritual companions were devastated. They realized, too late, that all his practice had never addressed the core knot in his heart. He had practiced outer rituals, but not inner release. This is not an isolated case. Again and again, we hear of sincere practitioners whose dying thoughts betray their spiritual intentions not due to lack of faith, but due to lingering emotions. This is the silent killer of Buddha name recitation, the inability to relinquish emotional attachments. Why is this so common? Because we are human. We are relational beings. We grow up weaving our identities through love, family, longing, and shared memories. Our parents, our children, our lovers, our friends, all of them shape our emotional landscape. The challenge isn't to become emotionals. The challenge is to transmute love from clinging into compassion, from ownership into freedom. You can love without attachment. You can care deeply without clinging tightly. That's the essence of spiritual maturity. The Buddha himself loved. He loved all beings, but his love was boundless, not imprisoned by personal preferences or history. So what can we do to avoid this emotional entrapment? The first step is awareness. Ask yourself honestly, who or what do I think about the most? When I feel lonely, where does my mind go? When I'm afraid, whose face do I see? If your answer isn't the Buddha, then it's time to look deeper. This is not about guilt. This is about clarity. Once you know your emotional knots, the next step is gentle untangling. That means transforming your love into aspiration. Say to yourself, I love my child, so I want both of us to reach the Pure Land, not to meet again in another round of worldly entanglement. I love my partner, so I dedicate my recitation to our mutual awakening, not another cycle of romantic drama. The key here is redirecting energy, not suppressing, but uplifting, not denying, but dedicating. Another key practice is making death real. Most people recite the Buddha's name without thinking seriously about death. But remember, your final moment is the exam for which you've spent your life preparing. What will arise in your last breath? What image will occupy your final consciousness? If you haven't practiced dying in life, you won't master it in death. So use every small letting go moment as a rehearsal. When someone offends you, let go. When plans fall apart, let go. When someone leaves your life, let go with love. These are micro deaths. Each one trains your heart to release. There's also immense power in visualization. Imagine the Buddha every day. Picture yourself walking hand in hand with Amitabha through golden lotus fields. Practice this so vividly that when the moment comes, your heart naturally turns toward that vision. But beyond visualization, the deeper work is purification. That means confronting unresolved pain, forgiving what you've held onto, speaking the words you've feared, completing the relationships you've kept open-ended. One elderly practitioner shared that for decades she recited the Buddha's name while secretly holding a grudge against her brother. Only after finally writing him a letter of forgiveness did her practice feel light, joyful. She said, "I didn't realize how heavy my heart was until I set it free." This is the true work, the invisible work. It's not about increasing quantity, it's about refining quality. A single sincere recitation, free of emotional entrapment, carries more power than a million half-hearted repetitions. And now let's flip the perspective. What does it look like when someone dies well? A devoted old man who spent his life in humble service reached his final hour surrounded by family and a chanting circle. He had long practiced detachment, always reminding his children, "Don't cry when I go. Chant. Focus on the Buddha." That's the only way we'll meet again. And when his breath faded, his lips moved with the Buddha's name, his face glowing with serenity. There were no lingering words, no unfinished business, only peace. His passing became a teaching for his whole community. It showed what true recitation looks like, not an escape from life, but a mastery of it. You don't have to live in a monastery to achieve this. You just have to live consciously. Let every goodbye be real. Let every I love you come without chains. Let every breath remind you of impermanence. And let every chant be your whole heart. To those of you who've struggled with this, who've lost loved ones, who fear leaving your children behind, who ache with the pain of relationships, I say that your heart is strong enough to hold love and release simultaneously. You are capable of the highest form of love, the one that liberates, not binds. So begin today. Speak your truth, set down your burdens, cleanse your past, and turn your heart fully to the path that leads home. Thank you so much for watching this video. If this message moved you, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. Let's start a conversation in the comments. What emotional attachments are you ready to release? What has your practice taught you about letting go? Like, subscribe, and stay close. We've got more soul-deep journeys ahead. Until then, keep chanting, not just with your lips, but with your life.